This podcast will walk and talk you through a model plan to an essay question from the June 2010 paper. The question is, a quote, "The main role of education in Nazi Germany was to prepare boys and girls for different roles. Do you agree? Explain your answer." It's worth 16 marks, which therefore is 25 minutes of writing. Therefore, as always, you need to spend a good minute just brainstorming, thinking through a paragraphed plan to that answer. As always, a word of warning, with the essay questions you're given a couple of bullet point prompts which are helpful, but you've got to be careful to make sure you don't just talk about those prompts. You need to bring in as much more than the bullet points that you're given in the question. Okay, so let's have a look at this particular question and what it is about. Let's start off with the pitfalls, the traps you can fall into. Many candidates will simply see three words. They'll see the word education, they'll see the word boys, and they'll see the word girls, and off they will go, and without planning they will just write about schools. Simple as that. Okay, it's understandable. You see the word education, you think of schools, and you just simply talk about the curriculum. So a typical week answer would talk about boys doing team sports, girls doing cooking, very generalised, and it would probably score a grade E or an F at best. So you need to look long and hard at this question. First of all, it's an essay question. It gives you a point of view of a historian, and it says, do you agree? So straight away you should be thinking an answer of two halves, in which the first half you actually agree with the quote and present the evidence that supports it, and then the second half you write a counter argument. You say it's more to it than that. Okay. Next thing is, the question is saying, what was the main role of education? That really is what the focus is about. What was the purpose of education? Okay, and then it is saying to you, one of the purposes of education was to prepare boys and girls for different roles. So there's really two parts to that question that you need to develop. Okay, so clearly it's about the role of education, and something just to be aware of. Education wasn't just about educating children. That's why it's misleading. So we'll develop that idea as we go through the plan. Okay, so how would we answer the question? Well, first of all, let's look at the introduction. As always, what the introduction does is sets the context. It takes the topic and it puts it into your wider knowledge. Okay, so and look first at the beginning bit. Hitler became Chancellor in January 1933. So you put education policy into the context. He became Chancellor. He wanted to take control of the education system. He didn't trust the adults from the Weimar era, 1919 to 33. It's almost as if there's a lost generation here. So what the point you want to believe is Hitler believed that the main value of education was to create national unity. Okay, Hitler believed in national strength and unity. And that was the purpose of education, to take control over people's minds. So there's that key word you should try to use: indoctrinate. The young people are essential because they will become the future adults, and they will therefore be the warriors in the case of boys, or they will be the producers of warriors in the case of girls, that will make Germany strong in the future. So you get a very strong first paragraph explaining the purpose of education. You then move into the main body of the answer. Now, as you can see, here I've got 5 paragraphs. The first 2 paragraphs very much support the point of view that's put across in the question. Okay, so you're taking that point of view and you're developing it using your own knowledge. And as you can see, it's fairly obvious. You're starting off with boys, and then you're going to talk about girls. So you do a paragraph about Nazi policy towards boys in paragraph 2. Okay, so There's your topic sentence, make it clearly. One of the aims of education was to prepare boys to be future soldiers and leaders, and then support it with precise information. The precision of the information is so important. So many candidates will just talk in very general terms about boys doing PE. Yes, 15% of the curriculum, put a figure in there. Emphasis on team games. Boys in particular, special schools were created for the cream of the cream, the boys who showed the strongest leadership qualities as long as they were of the Aryan race. So the Adolf Hitler schools, the Napolas and the Order castles. We've covered that in a previous podcast. Then do the same in paragraph 3, so that's 2. Then do the same in paragraph 3 for girls. Make your point clearly at the beginning of the paragraph. Another aim of education was to prepare girls to be future mothers. So the domestic science in the curriculum, girls' PE brought them closer to nature, childbearing was promoted, makeup was frowned upon as unnatural, etc. Okay, so not even halfway through the answer, and you've pretty much dealt with the boys and girls issue. Now, a good thing then to do is to write a paragraph 4, that really pulls together what then was the overall aim of education, because that's what the question is about. Well, the overall aim of education was to promote Nazi racial ideals. So again, you stick on the issue of schools and young people, and what you're doing is you're pulling together some common threads that were there for both boys and girls, whether you're a boy or a girl. What was the common thread? So it's Nazi views about race. So if you went into the school classroom, you would have new subjects such as eugenics and race studies. What they're being taught here is that outsiders are not part of the people's community, which is, and the word the Germans like to use is Volksgemeinschaft. Jews and other racial inferiors, what we call asocial types, people like tramps, alcoholics, communists, socialists, etc., were seen to be outsiders, not part of Germany. So only people who were supportive of national unity and who were of the correct race were part of Germany. So that was a key point that was being promoted through education. Then in paragraph 5, you want to move into, in addition, so you're branching out now, education was also used to control the adults, and that is a point that many candidates will forget to talk about because they get locked into that idea of education is just for the young people. Actually, no, look at the question again. You're perfectly within your scope to talk about the adults, so that will really help push your answer to the highest grades. So adults were seen to be politically unreliable. They can't be trusted because they've already gone through schooling before Hitler was in power. So here, talk about how, for example, the teachers of 1933 had to join the Nazi Teachers Association, the NSLB, and to prove that they could be reliable in the classroom, that they would teach Nazi views. And if they couldn't do that, they would be reported to the Gestapo. They would lose their jobs. And young people were encouraged to report their teachers to the Gestapo if teachers told them ideas that didn't sit with what the Nazis were saying. Then teachers were reported by children to the Gestapo and were sacked. Or worse, sometimes they went to concentration camps. Finally, paragraph 6, and you can see how the paragraph begins. You're moving towards the conclusion. Make that key point that education didn't just happen in schools. Okay, so education wasn't just simply 9 till 4. In Nazi Germany, education was round the clock. And so education was also about controlling leisure time, not just of young people, but of the older generation as well. So again, a very strong point to make here. So young people had their leisure time. They were educated outside school in the Hitler Youth organisations. So you can briefly mention the type of activities, going to the countryside, campfire songs, passwords, etc., all indoctrinating young people in German ideals, but also the adults, their leisure time was controlled through the Strength Through Joy scheme, package holidays, etc. It was very difficult for adults to have time to themselves. All leisure activities were controlled by the Nazis, and so the Nazis used those organisations to educate the older generation in Nazi ideas. Okay, so that's paragraph 6. You then move to the conclusion at the end, make the point that on one level boys and girls were being prepared for different roles. Boys future soldiers, girls as future mothers. However, these two roles serve the same common purpose, to expand Germany's population, to build up German strength, so that Germany could expand its frontiers and achieve living space. Okay, so there's the answer, there's a model plan, 25 minutes, have a go at writing that one yourself. The important thing is that you get across those main points, the topic sentences. If all you did is put the topic sentences down, you would probably get a grade C, but you've got plenty of time to add to your answer, develop your points using the precise information in the right-hand column. Hope that was useful for you.